Okay, slavery perspectives, okay? There's two things in which you're going to need here. You're going to need the matrix, which you take that matrix and put it in a notability. And then you're going to get various slavery perspectives. Various slavery perspectives. Now, all of those placards are going to look a little something like this. It's going to have a picture on one side and a little reading on the back side. And I am going to show you what we're going to do here is in this matrix, two basic columns. The perspective on slavery, what separates this person's view from the slavery, from the rest, and then where would you place them on the political spectrum. Now, I want everybody to go all the way to the last part of that matrix right now. You probably remember us talking about this political spectrum before. Radical, liberal, moderate, conservative, reactionary. Now, see what I put down below here. This is how they feel about these issues in terms of change. Does that make sense? We're not talking about modern day political parties. We're not like equating conservatives to Republicans or anything like that. All we're doing is talking about it in terms of change. So, if somebody wants the state of slavery to change, you would be putting them on this side of the political spectrum. If they want it to stay the same, they would be dead center on conservative. And then do you remember reactionary? That's the way we want it to go back to the way it was. Okay? So if you find somebody that's radical, we're talking like ultra radical. They're willing to stop at nothing to make sure that whatever they believe happens. Let me start with one here. Go to Abraham Lincoln on your matrix here. I'm going to do this one for you. Then we're going to do the rest of them kind of as a class. So, Abraham Lincoln, known as the great emancipator. Let's see what we think about Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln, seen as on the other side of this placard, was the President of the United States from 1861 to 1865. He is best known for preserving the Union during the Civil War. He's credited by some with freeing the slaves. In truth, Lincoln's beliefs about slavery were mixed. On one hand, Lincoln had a strong belief in personal freedom and spoke of the monstrous injustice of slavery. As he campaigned to be president, however, he did not adopt an abolitionist policy, demanding that slaves be freed. Instead, he promised that he would not interfere with slavery in the South. He was, though, against allowing slavery to expand into the Western territories. As president, Lincoln was actually more concerned about preserving the Union, keeping the United States together during the Civil War, than freeing the slaves. He said, if I could save the Union, the United States, without freeing any slave, I would do it. If I could save it by freeing some and leaving others alone, I would do that also. Still, Frederick Douglass, an African-American aide to Lincoln during the Civil War, complimented Lincoln by saying, in all my interviews with Mr. Lincoln, I was impressed with his entire freedom from prejudice against the colored race. So, I've got my little political spectrum over on this side. What do you think? Where should we put Abraham Lincoln? Where should we put Abraham Lincoln? Is he radical? Is he willing to change is he willing to change and make sure that slavery gets ended right now? Does he want change soon as a liberal? Sounds to me like, what did we have listed under moderate? It sounded like he is kind of on the fence, right? Sounds to me that Abraham Lincoln was willing to do whatever it took to make sure that the Union gets preserved. So he could have ended slavery, he could have not ended it. But he was more concerned about preserving the Union. Agree? Okay. So how did we fill this thing out? What did you write down up here for Abraham Lincoln? What were his views and what separated his views from others? What did you guys put in the left column for Abe? What should we put here? Give me one thing, come on. He was concerned about preserving the Union. And we have a quote from him saying that he would either support the end of slavery or keep it where it was. He didn't much care about that. It was all about preserving the Union to him. So maybe he wasn't the great emancipator that we know and love. Or maybe we'll learn more about that later. So where are we going to place him on the political spectrum? Give me some notions over here about where you think they should be placed. Now, as a class here, I am going to pass out some placards that you are going to have to read, complete, and then we're going to place this on the spectrum together. Does that make sense, folks? Are we good with this first one? Okay,